Ladies and gentlemen, Intelligentsia Noir.
Hey, what's going on, team? It's Tvhead Jimmy here. I just wanted to take a moment out and touch base with everybody real quick. I understand that in life we all go through things and stuff happens, and not everybody all the time is 100% their self. And I feel I would assume that for most people that's pretty unavoidable. And so that's where I am. And that's what this episode is about, is more so where I'm just the ground I stand on currently. Um, I don't feel 100% my best, and I haven't for a while. Um, geez, I honestly really don't know where to start. For me personally, I stand in this place where I feel that I'm losing everything. We'll start there. I feel that everything I love and everything that I've worked for is kind of starting to slip away from me. I've lost a lot of memories um, because I wasn't able to keep up with them, and I lost a lot of precious things to me. And I admittedly, I'm not the most sentimental person out there, but there was quite a few things that I did have memories or sentiment attached to recently that I've lost, and you know, I I think I think out loud or publicly, I let that affect me, uh, or I presented that affected me far less than it really did. Just because you never know in the future, you know, the memories that you get to carry with you, and what you might actually remember and what you might not remember. And not all of us are lucky to leave this life with our memories intact, and I think about that sometimes. But yeah, I lost a lot of memories, and I feel like I'm losing my dreams slowly but surely. Doing this show and producing music and being in spaces where I flourish artistically, and I'm involved with other art projects and things of that nature. But I feel that kind of falling through my grasp. I'm not able to keep up with those things just because we live in a world that demands more from the oil that the machine burns. You know, and I just at the point currently that I'm at, I'm not able to keep up with the economic demands. So that means like I'll have to go back into the machine, back into the system to be able to keep these things alive. The problem with that is obviously is I don't get to spend as much time with them, and I don't get to touch or see those things that I love as often. Um, which brings me kind of to another thing that I'll touch on is, you know, same thing but with loved ones and family and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel I feel all my projects of passion and everything uh, kind of moving away, and I would have really liked I really went forward and took the leap of trying to do a lot of stuff full time, but building clientele and keeping up with different trends and stuff. These things take time, to a lot of people in the world. Time is money, And sometimes when you're not, you know, making enough money, you know, the ends don't meet, you know. And so that is that has been tough, you know, because sometimes our dreams are all we have. You know, the day-to-day things that we deal with and that we see, you know, that's these are the things that the world tells us we must do, and these are the things that we're kind of put into, or you know, I'm not coming up with a good phrase right now, so forgive me for my stammer. But it's these are just the day to day things that we're just kind of uh, beholden to. But I don't know if it. I mean, it keeps us alive in the sense that we are able to afford, you know, the things and the care and the food that we need. But I don't know if that's living, you know. And if I could be honest, I don't know if I've ever lived in my life. You know, I used to try to live by the five whales, and well traveled was was the one that I know that I was the least about. And I just don't know if I've really, I don't know if I've lived a life, the kind of life that I could really be proud of yet. I don't think I've made it there. And I'm trying. I want to make those around me that love me, that believe in me, that see my potential, that have always been in my corner. I want to I want to do it for them while they're still here. You know, do I want to do it for me? Of course, right? But doing it for me, I'm okay with being okay. But I want my loved ones before anything can happen, because we don't all get to make it out alive. But before that, I really want them to see that all that love and devotion and loyalty and believing in this person that they see in me, I want them to see that it paid off. You know, I want them to see like that on some level he went for it and he made it, and we always knew he could. You know, admittedly at times I don't always apply myself the best, but they know that, and they've still been here supporting. And so I think a lot of that is part of why this means so much to me. That, and I think at this point, there's something in me that tells me, and it could just be, you know, that part of us that tells us that, you know, we ain't shit. But there's a part of me that tells me if I lose it now, I'll never get it back. If I go back into the system now, or, you know, the machine, I'll never come back out. And that terrifies me. And it weighs on me daily. So, to the other subject, I talk about loved ones. You know, I never had enough time to ever see them and hang out with them and be with them. You know, I always worked so much. You know, backbreaking work, hours and hours of work, at, for nothing. I didn't ever really take vacation. You know, at a few jobs I've had, they've had to force me or tell me like, you know, you're gonna waste that time. And then my previous job, before I tried to, you know, follow all my endeavors full time, they wouldn't tell you anything. They would just let you work until you said something to them, or they just never said anything. But they would never tell you, you know. And I couldn't tell you how many birthdays and actual births and uh, funerals and emergencies that I've missed because I couldn't find the time in work. And I get it. Like, I'm not the only one that goes through that, but that doesn't make it a good thing. It doesn't make it a right thing. You know, it's still shitty. It doesn't matter. the circumstance, or that it happens to X amount of people, or it happens to everybody. Um, I saw somebody the other day that said work life balance is one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves, because there will never be balance between work and life. Work will always win, so you have to choose life. And I tried to take time and choose life, and choose to see and be a part of things that I haven't usually got a chance to be a part. And so now it's brought me to a crossroad. I don't think that I'm doing my best when it comes to my anxiety and mental health, and maybe more of what's going on. So um, it's always been quiet as kept, but I don't know when it happened, but at some point I became a super anxious person. And I wish I knew what it was or when it happened. In that way, I might be able to figure it out. I might be able to fix it. But it is as it is currently. I haven't been able to help myself, and I haven't been able to fix it. And I wake up almost every day with elevated heart rate and this feeling of anxiousness, and I live almost daily with a thought in my head that I'm sick, or this is the day that the other shoe's going to drop. I get anxious when my phone lights up and I see a family member or a friend that hasn't called me in a while, not thinking they just want to talk or they want to see how I am, but thinking that this is the day that I get that call that I didn't want to get. Because eventually that call is really going to happen. But almost every day, I have a feeling that that's the call. Um, every day, I have some kind of ache or pain, or my vision is different, or my throat hurts, or I have a spot that wasn't there yesterday, and it almost sends me into a spiral almost daily. And because of this, funny enough, I'm pretty fit. I've been cycling like 28 miles and running roughly about 3 or 4 miles every day. And I know, to an outside person, it looks like I'm just pretty fit. I also watch my diet quite a bit. And I know, to the outside person, it looks like I just want to stay fit, and that is a part of it. That's excuse me. That's in there. That's built in. I've been a I've been somebody who's been training all my life, but a large part of it, if I could be honest, a large part of it is I'm I'm trying to outrun I'm trying to outrun my end. I'm trying to stave it off as long as I possibly can. Not only that, I think I'm trying to outrun my angst and those things that I feel like I've failed on. And when I feel anxious, or I feel these things creeping up behind me, I get on the bike, or I put on my shoes and hit the road, and I just go until it's further away. And then when I hear it, see it, feel it, whatever it is again, I I take off, and I run or I ride again, and I just keep going and going and going until 28 miles. It was 12 miles, and then it was 15 miles, and then it was 28 miles. I learned that 28 miles is a bit out there, and I had to had to teach myself at that point that if I'm going to do stuff like that, I need to physically take breaks because um, even though I'm trying to take care of my mind, uh, the body doesn't always adjust well to stuff like that. Um, Kind of on that same feeling of anxiety and anxiousness, or these internal feelings. Lately, I felt isolated, and I'm on an island. You know, I have a lot of people that like me, and I have some people that love me. I know I do, but I don't have a lot of friends like that. I'm if it wasn't for the few people I see on a regular basis, I probably wouldn't talk to anybody. You know, and sure, I would say a lot of that is partially my fault. Um, just because I'm good at being an island of a person, and sometimes I get so good at it that you stay on the island too long. What happens is people on the mainland, they keep moving and they build relationships and they can go forward. But when you're on the island, it's just you, you know. Um, but yeah, but before that, my circles were small anyway, and now I look up and like if I was to scroll through social media and so it's two different things. Like if if I scroll through social media and just look at people like I can say what's up to, like I could probably throw a rock at that. But when I get on social media and I look for somebody that I can simply say like, "Hey, you want to grab something to eat?" or "Hey, do you mind giving me a ride?" Maybe I rode out too far and I don't have the strength to ride back. Um, I'm starting to realize that I don't have that. That's not here in my life. Um, and that has recently put me in a pretty bad place. You know, kind of going on to the next thing. I've felt really unlovable and uninteresting, and I've never ever thought of myself as an uninteresting person. And I think people would say that I am interesting, but lately I've been feeling really just unloved, and that doesn't have to be true. I believe it's mostly just in my head, right? But I just my head and part of my chest tells me that they don't love you like they say they do, right? That's like the echo that goes inside me, like or maybe the when you drop a pebble in the water and the ripples go out, and the ripple is just they don't love you like they say they do, you know, and it really hurts, you know. I'm not again. I definitely could believe that it's all in my head. I'm not saying it's a real thing, but it's just this feeling of those that are close to me become uninterested in me, and they kind of start to move away. And I'm really trying to be present. Like I'm really in a lot of ways trying to cry out and be be a part of everything, right? But I think I got so much going on inside that I don't disappear, but I shrink away, right? Or I become distant. I mean, I'm not distant, sorry, different. Um, but really, I just want people close, and I want to feel loved, and I want to feel safe. I think that is also a big component of a lot of this. Is I don't always feel safe, and I get the world isn't safe, but this is a different kind of safe. But yeah, I just want to feel loved, and I want to feel safe, and I want to feel surrounded by by people that love me, which is funny because even if I felt like I was, like I still might be the person that doesn't always answer text or calls or something like that. I don't know for sure. Hopefully I would switch that up about myself. But that is just how I feel, and I feel like currently like my world or my worlds, um those things that surround me are moving forward without me, and I'm trying to move faster, because it's not that I'm not moving. I'm just trying to move faster so I can keep up with them, because I don't want to get left behind. I don't want them to leave me. um the next thing is here's part of a big hopeful thing, but um also a thing that I kind of messed up. So today, so lately, I tell you, um, an artist came to me and had an idea for a show, and I'm always asking people, about shows, and trying to let people know that I produce shows. That I don't just do music or video, that I produce shows, not just my show, but other people's show, and I'm really good at this, and it really is a passion of mine and something that I want to do. I want to produce shows, and somebody came to me with an idea, and it was a great idea, and they end up asking me to produce a show, and I'm really happy about it, and I'm really glad somebody finally came to me and really took the time to sit down with me and acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. No, acknowledge me as a creator and as a capable person. Because I think even when people see or maybe even know what I'm capable of, or and see what I could do, I don't necessarily, they see the final product, but for some reason it's almost like without seeing the work in between, they deal with me or talk with me as if I'm less capable, right? And that's been a big thing, but I've mostly been able to kind of smack some of that away, from living inside of me. But in everything, I felt was going pretty decent. And then today, I missed recording with a guest, and I don't know if it was something that I got off in my head, or I just confused the times, or what. But I was supposed to sit down and record with the guest and do the show, and I blew it, and apparently the guest was pretty gracious about it. From what I understand, they were a really good sport about it. Um, and really, if they were to ever hear this, I really, and when I meet them, I'll say it. But this is before I've met this person, and I genuinely apologize. Again, this is something that I'm passionate about, and I really want to do. And man, I messed up, and I had to apologize to the host, and the person who put all this together, and kind of brought it to me, and allowed me to be a part of their project. I apologize, because that's the last thing that I want to do. I've always kept everything that I've done very professional, and everything is above board, and I don't cut corners when it comes to my work, and I really I really try not to slack on these things, you know. Um, but I'll figure out where I went wrong there, and I definitely I told her I was gonna brood about it, and I definitely took my time to brood about it. Uh, I, I went for a run, of course, um, and it was an awful run, by the way. I didn't like that run at all. It was trash run. Um, but now that I've gotten it together, at least on that front, you know, uh, I'll do everything that I can to make sure that that particular circumstance doesn't happen again, or at least without major reason that everybody's aware about. That I just won't not show up. I at least people will know that there's a thing going down. Going forward. So, um, I don't know. It's just been rough. I've even probably been distant and less lovey dovey or huggy huggy or jokey jokey with those really close to me and the people that I love and the one I'm closest to. And I swear it's not on purpose. I even have anxiety about my loved ones passing, and sometimes it holds me back on enjoying time with them because I'll have a moment in my head where I say to myself, like one day, like these are just going to be memories. Like I won't be able to create new memories with this person, and it frightens me from making current memories. It really does. I don't necessarily subscribe to that school of thought. What was the quote? Don't be happy it's over. Be happy that it ever happened. That that is just from from my worldview. That is just an absolutely terrifying thought and kind of mean spirited. You know, because it's like you experience these great things and these big amounts of love and this zest for life, and you share these experiences with these people, all for it to be taken away, and in my mind most likely tragic. I don't feel like we as people, humans, get it's not often that we get the the farewell, the humane goodbye. Usually we go out in such awful ways. you know it's not always, it's not usually surrounded by loved ones or in your sleep, or what is it in the movie where you're holding your loved one's hand and y'all both pass at the same time. Like, for me, in my mind, it doesn't happen. And you lose somebody going to get eggs, or somebody out running, or somebody that's coming home that has nothing to do, and then somebody who doesn't know how to control themselves, or might be going through another problem, is despondent while behind the wheel. And of course, tragedy and accidents happen, you know, diseases out of nowhere, sickness out of nowhere, things that you didn't see coming. And I live with these, what I feel, they aren't actually, but what I feel are these looming threats, not just to myself, but those that I love that are around me. And for me, it does make it hard to kind of live in these moments, knowing like one day they'll be gone. Not the moments, you know, that there'll be a point where these moments don't happen anymore. And honestly, it makes me incredibly sad. And so I'm not. I guess I say all these things to say like there's been a great inconsistency outside of myself because inside it's very consistent. This is daily, but outside, it's made me inconsistent in some things. Maybe with sharing my feelings, with the way I show love, with the way I respond to people, with the way I keep up with certain things. But it's like it's like a record skipping. Like anytime, like the anxiety or the fear or whatever it is, kind of presents itself. It's like a record skip, and I find myself like kind of skipped forward into another moment. You know, it's the weirdest thing. You know, but I'm really hoping to get better. I know I can't do it on my own. I know. Just hoping to work through my thoughts and feelings and whatever else this is that lives inside of me. This bit of coal that lives kind of you know just under my chest and around my stomach. I it's gonna take more than me to do it. And I've begun to move forward and seek help with these things and to find myself in a better place. You know, so there's two things that are hopeful for the future. Is that I'm producing a show which I really think is going to be great. I really truly do, and that I'm I'm trying to move forward to a better version of myself, and really, honestly, in the end, that's all I've ever wanted was just always to be a better version of myself. I've never stepped away from a previous version of myself so much so that I couldn't remember who I was, right? Like I can always look backwards or look into another person and recognize that version of me. But I've always wanted to be the better version, regardless of what it is. Um, and that goes for even stuff outside of myself. Like I've always wanted to be a better athlete, a better runner, a better cyclist, a better producer, a better artist, than I was previously. And so that is my hope for the future. And I'm going to leave it on hope. And I hope anybody listen to this. Well, I hope anybody listens. I I I would like you to find hope in what I'm saying. This hasn't all been upbeat, but maybe that the fact that there's somebody out there like you, or maybe even if it's just me that's like you, because I'm very very looked I'm looked at as being very ironclad, and there's not a lot of breaks in my armor. I armor up very well. But nah, like I'm I'm breaking as we speak. And like I said, I can't fix it by myself, but I do know that I want to get better, and I know that I can get better. I believe. I'm hopeful. I'm anxious, but I'm hopeful. All I want to be is better. So I hope this brings you hope because I'm ending on hope. And believe it or not, in this moment, I do feel light in that little area just below my chest and around my stomach. Um, so hopefully this finds you well, and hopefully you can take these words and find a way to uplift yourself And if you have any questions or just want to talk, find a way to give me a shout. Thank you for your time. Take it easy.